Welcome to another exciting edition of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Paperboy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
And look who's back. Looking good. Did you have some work done?
Yeah, a little fun in the sun. Sure.
You're especially handsome today.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about something or other that's going to happen to you when various people find out that you sell online. Consignments. And I know you've dealt with some consignments over the years, and I know I've dealt with some consignments over the years. And I think probably the thing that just surprises people more than anything else is the cost.
Oh, yeah.
They basically want to hand you everything and say, okay, you're going to take what, 10%?
Yeah, I almost want to laugh, but yes.
And you look at them and you say, well, given that my fees are 13%, 14%, why don't I just hand you a couple of dollars and you run on your way and I'll be better off. It's really difficult doing a consignment for a lot of different reasons. I know you've done a fair amount of research on other people that are doing it, and what's the going rate basically on consignments in general? I mean, there's obviously a difference in consignment as well.
Right.
In other words, if somebody walked in with an Action Comics #1, it's a much lower percentage because that's a guaranteed sale. It's a piece of gold is what it is.
Right.
But if somebody comes in with the usual, I don't want to use riffraff, but the usual riffraff that they have, what's the going rate if you're even willing to take that consignment?
Back when I was doing more consignments, I would say 50%. So 50% goes to the consigner, 50% to the consignee, and we cover all the costs.
Right. Yep. Yep. And I've heard of a few other people, and that's exactly what they charge, and people are amazed by that and say, "Oh my goodness gracious," and think that you're raking in the money.
Yeah.
What they don't understand is you're taking a lot of risk as well.
Sure.
Because say they bring in a consignment of 1950s or 1930s movie magazines. Well, if all of a sudden they start coming out that the pages are missing and this and that,
right.
Obviously if it's across the collection, then you got a problem. But if it's one or two here or there, you're going to just eat it as a cost of doing business is what you're going to do. Something gets lost in the mail, that's on you. I mean, it's your problem. You've got your man hours involved in having the people pack it up. You've got the supplies. You've got all those various things. And another big problem that a lot of people don't understand, and you end up working it out, is the sell-through rate on things.
Right.
A lot of things, unless it's really, really good stuff, what are you going to sell?
No, it's not worth
30, 40%, 20% of the stuff. And then you've got all the stuff left over. And then you want to, basically the easiest thing to do is just buy it off and put it into your store.
Right.
And what they don't understand is, and we do, and you do, because you're watching this, is that you got a big trade-off. You've got the trade-off between how much money you can get out of it versus how quickly you want to sell something.
Right. And for me in my business, it takes us away from my listers listing my items that could be better, going for more money and so forth. So, we stopped doing. We're real selective at this point now.
Now, what would you suggest doing a consignment on?
Like you said, anything that's got a high sell-through rate, high dollar amount, anything that's low risk, meaning there's no fake autograph or something like that. You don't want to deal with anything that's going to give you a headache, a negative, anything that's breakable. I stay away from all that. And another thing I did do is when I used to consign more, is if an item didn't sell, I would charge a fee for that because you're still putting your time and everything into that. So say it's $5 for every item because the consigners want high dollars. So they want you to put a high minimum price on it. And if it doesn't sell, I don't want to eat all my time and cost in that. So.
I think there's one other area where it's probably best to consign, and that's when somebody comes in with an item, and I think that's one of the keys of the consignment is, generally speaking, it can't be too large.
Right.
Because as far as number of items, unless it's all really, really good stuff. I mean, obviously, if somebody walked in and they had Action Comics #1 through 100, great.
Right.
And then they say, well, I know you don't like to do big consignments. I also have Superman 1 through 50. Yes, something, we'll make an exception for this because that's all really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
But what you don't want is them to come in with Superman 1 through 500 and say, I want each issue listed individually.
No, that's an issue. That's a problem.
How about we do 1 through 100 individually, and then we spot pick the ones above it, and then we lot the rest. That's going to be the best. But they don't necessarily understand that because they're looking at the price guide going,
Right.
but Superman 500, 400 through 500 are all worth $8 each, and you should be able to, well, no, you're going to sell them in a lot, and you're going to get a couple of dollars each out of them. That's just the reality of it.
Well, that's when you treat yourself like the big auction houses and say, hey, we're going to lot these out just like they would,
Right, yeah, that's true. You don't see Action Comics number 482 on Heritage too often. At least not on, if you do, it's a graded 9.8.
9.8, yep.
But I think the other time when you would be best to do consignment is when they come in with an item and you know it's valuable, but either you don't know how valuable or you just cannot reach a price that's fair to both of you, because in their head it's worth $5,000 and you think it's worth $2,000,
Right.
but you know it's very, very good and you know it can sell. And that would be one of those cases where you would say to them, hey, tell you what, we'll do a consignment on it.
Right.
I'll put it up for $5,000. If it doesn't sell, we'll relist it at $2,000. Something other like that. And if they're amenable to that, make sure you have that.
Yeah.
I think the other problem with consignments in general, and something or other that you would need to get up front with somebody or other, and this is where I think, having been in business for a long time, you can read the consignor. And you've got those people that would be checking the auction every single day, and one of those, hey, this just sold for $20. You owe me $10. Can I have my $10? You're like, it sold 45 seconds ago. I haven't been paid yet. Where you would need to, for some people, and there are other people that just, oh, cool, you gave me a check, cool. Right. But if it's somebody or other that's real fussy about it for whatever reason, whether it's that they need the money, whether it's that they think the entire world's out to rip them off, whatever the case happens to be, if they're one of those fussy people, you've got to set up some kind of a guide with them where you say, hey, look, this will sell for this amount. I will give you so much now, and I have to hold some back because just because it's sold for $100 doesn't mean I got paid for it.
Well, what we used to do is we used to give the 2 to 3 week turnaround time, just so we want to make sure the auction ends, we pack it, we ship it up, ship it out, they get it, and then once they receive it, they're happy. Because then if there's an issue, you don't want to pay $500 out, and all of a sudden this is damaged, this is broken, and you got to get an insurance claim and whatever. So
right, or even the fact they see something sells for $500, but it turns out somebody or other was just trolling on the bids,
right,
and you never got paid on it.
Right, exactly.
And that's one of those where you have to absolutely, especially if they're one of these people that's suspicious to start with.
Sure.
What will you do for it? I never got paid for it. Look, right here, I put it in an unpaid item. I never got the money for it. The item's right here.
In my possession.
You can take it back. I don't care. So can you make money doing consignments? You can, but you have to be, I believe, very, very selective about what they are. And if possible, try to buy the entire thing. And really, the problem comes in is, especially when this was a lot bigger problem when eBay first started. Everybody and their mother had stuff that they wanted you to consign.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. They had eBay consignment shops popping up all over the place.
They did.
They didn't last too long because of the fees. So.
Right. Yeah. So I guess, and the reason I wanted, there are a couple of different reasons we wanted to do this. I believe we have a video coming out where you may have taken in a consignment. I've heard rumors.
It's a possibility.
And the other reason why is because on one of the Facebook groups that I'm a member of, the one with Dom, Primetime Treasure, somebody or other raised the question of taking a consignment, and it wasn't even so much a consignment. It was basically that somebody that was more or less a second grandma, well, I guess a third grandma, to this person. An older lady had some stuff, and she wanted this person to sell it for the lady. And the person says, what should I do? And basically my suggestion was, hey, look, as long as it's not 50,000 items. Right. If it's 10 items, take the time out of your day and do it. Do a favor, take your fees out and kind of pass it along, make a couple of %. But that's just being a good person. I mean, if this person was like a grandmother to you,
yeah, exactly,
you just be a good person on it. Same thing, next door neighbor who watches your kids for free all the time has got a couple of items that they want you to sell for them. do it. I mean, just do it. It's kind of, one hand washes the other and that kind of stuff. So, you've got those exceptions as well. But as far as actual consignments, you've really got to pick and choose them. But you can make money. You've got to get the ground rules up front as to who's responsible for what. And you have to explain to them that 50% is the going rate, because it just is. Because otherwise, you're not going to make any money. I mean, unless, again, it's the Action Comics #1, the Amazing Fantasy 15.
Right.
Some kind of a find like that, whole different story. But on the common stuff, you just won't make any money if you're not charging 50%. So hopefully you've got some opportunities to get some really good items up on consignment, and hopefully you make a lot of money. Until next video.
Bye-bye. Thank you.